How we doing, guys? It's Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And we're back with another episode of KJ's What Happened. This will be covering February 3rd through February 9th. I see that Mindy and Kim are in there as the mods. Thanks, ladies, for being here. As always, thanks to all the mods. And thank you for being here and checking this out live. And if you're not watching live, thanks for listening later and checking it out. I always appreciate it. So if you look at the top, I don't know if you can see the top of the screen. You probably can. There's tons of tabs. So we got a lot of stuff to go through tonight. This has been a pretty crazy week. So let's just go ahead and get started, okay? And once again, thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy it. Chinese police are using facial recognition sunglasses to track citizens. The glasses are being used by officers and police stations to oversee travelers during the Lunar New Year. Thanks for the extra precautions, or not. We always talk about this kind of subject. I've made a few videos about this, how we're literally living in a movie. And that's because of all the predictive programming that's come before what's happening right now. It's been around for a long time, but putting these ideas at us through entertainment, movies, music, TV shows. This is why that stuff matters. You know, this is one of the reasons I watch, a lot of entertainment. It's where I get the messages, and a lot of you can understand this as well. There's social engineering. There's also a lot of predictive programming taking place. And we've seen this in movies already before, but here it is in our reality. So pretty interesting, right? Think of all the sci-fi movies with robots that look like humans that can walk around and kill you and shoot you and stuff. And DARPA's already on top of all that. They've probably been on it for years, but they're releasing more of this information out to the public where they have these kinds of things. They got these weird robot-looking things that look like dogs that can crawl up walls and crawl up trees, so very interesting stuff. But anyway, here we go. This is all the predictive programming pays off. Also, it's just creepy. It's creepy. This is the surveillance state. More and more becoming a reality. So I thought this is pretty interesting here. Most people play a musical instrument with their hands or mouth, but Dr. Thomas Duell, a musician and neurologist based in Seattle, has built one that you can play with your mind. He calls it the encephalophone, which more or less translates to brain instrument. The thing looks like an electrode-studded swimmer's cap with wires coming out of it, which are plugged into a small box that captures brain waves. Using computer programs that Duell helped design, those waves are translated in real time to notes on a heptatonic scale. The impetus for the instrument was what Duell calls a mad scientist project, born out of a desire to jam with his friends while propped up, zen-like, in a reclining chair. But he realizes now that the encephalophone could have profound implications, especially for people who have experienced severe loss of mobility because of conditions like MS, ALS, or stroke. He's now testing the instrument's therapeutic potential with patients in clinical trials. Interesting stuff. Very interesting. Sometimes technology can help too, right? It's not all bad. Not all technology is bad. It's very interesting stuff there. This right here is connected to another story, which I'll start with here. Redlands family sues Starbucks after 2-year-old girl drinks beverage allegedly containing barista's blood. This is from the news, so I can play this clip. So let's check this out.
We should first advise our viewers here, Micah, that this is kind of a disturbing story. The issue that a typical Starbucks customer might encounter is, say, asking for skim milk and getting whole milk instead. Well, this case goes far, far beyond that. A family in Redlands says they visited this Starbucks here in San Bernardino, and they say that a barista here got her blood on their coffee cups, which then they all drank from. Now this family wants to be compensated by the coffee giant, both for the disgust they endured and also for their worry over a possible blood infection.
my mother-in-law went to go take a drink of the cup. She put it to her lips and she could smell the blood.
Amanda and Louis Weiss know what they like in their coffee. A little bit of sweetness with a dash of whipped cream on top. They also certainly know what they don't like. Someone else's blood.
We drank the Java chip Frappuccino and we didn't see nothing on it. We did look at it to make sure there wasn't blood, but we couldn't see anything. We drank it all, and then once we drank it, then we could see on the inside of the rim that there was blood. First reaction was my daughter just drank she was licking the lid, and she was drinking the whipped cream that was sitting on top.
These images provided to us by the Weiss family's lawyers highlight several areas on the cups where they say the Starbucks barista left their blood. Louis and Amanda, along with their 2-year-old daughter Peyton and mother-in-law, say it happened at this Starbucks in San Bernardino, just off of the 215 freeway in 2016.
We called Starbucks. She said, yeah, there is somebody bleeding, but they were barely taking them off the floor.
The Weiss family immediately got tested to see if they were infected by anything in the barista's blood.
That was my main concern. With my wife and my baby, just drank someone's blood, you know. It was bad.
To compensate them, the Weisses say the Starbucks manager first offered them free drinks for a week. That wasn't good enough. Starbucks corporate then offered $1,000 to each family member. That still is not enough.
We felt sick to our stomachs. We shouldn't have to worry about going to get something to drink and there being blood in our drink where, you know, we could get sick, where we could, you know, my daughter could get sick. She could die from that. You know, it's very stressful to even think about that when we shouldn't even have to.
I did speak to Starbucks representatives regarding this bloody cups case. They gave me this statement, quote, "We are aware of this claim that allegedly took place in 2016 and are prepared to present our case in court." Now, a case like this against a...
Anyway, you get the gist. We don't need to watch the whole thing, but gross, right? And when I saw that, it reminded me of this. I'm not saying these stories are connected. It just reminded me of this story right here. Not that one, this one. Starbucks barista. Oops. Let's do that. That always happens. Starbucks barista serves up coffee with satanic symbols in the foam to an outraged Catholic woman on a Sunday. You guys remember that story? There was a Starbucks customer in Louisiana. She served up her morning coffee with the mark of the devil written out in caramel syrup on a Sunday and a 666. Weird stuff, right? That's the lady that got the coffees, I guess. And there you go. Sure, we can do this. This one connects to something else. I set these up, so there we go. Have you heard about this right here? Richard Pryor slept with Marlon Brando. Pryor's widow confirms. Buzz began when Quincy Jones gave an interview to Vulture saying Brando was the most charming MFer you ever met. He'd F anything, exclamation point. He'd F a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye. Jennifer Lee, who was married to Pryor in the early 80s and again in the 2000s up until his death, told TMZ on Wednesday that it was true and he would have no shame about it. It was the 70s, she said. Drugs were still good, especially Quaaludes. If you did enough cocaine, you'd F a radiator and send it flowers in the morning. Bum. She'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress. So we got that story, but it reminded me of this right here. Here's another clip. There's a few clips we'll watch tonight. And there we go. This is it. There we go. So let's just move forward to where the footage is. This is one of those videos where they're telling a lot of truth. And they're talking about the brotherhood, the Hollywood Masonic Brotherhood, or in this case, the Boule. So check this out. And I'll just let the footage speak for itself. We'll watch a little bit here, okay?
Sexual practices and things that they do proves it. So check it out.
Next to her is what we call Miss Thing. call him that with love and affection. As all of us know. Well, he hasn't let us down yet, has he? We've been friends a long time, and I sure wish he'd return my red handkerchief because my wife been wondering where it was. I hope it still has her perfume scent on it. But really, Paul, it's really been a pleasure working with you because we worked together many years ago on the Red Fox show. We started writing together, and we walked into the office with the white man, and Paul didn't. What he did was sucked his dick. But I must say, Paul had a sense of humor. He didn't let him come in his mouth. But seriously, Paul wrote most of the dialogue for everybody up here tonight. And he's a brilliant writer. And, we went once to what was that man's name that we went to and we had to fight? The producer. The Bill. Sheldon Leonard. We walked in his office. We was there for an hour together. And Sheldon Leonard picked our brains and he said, thank you, and you can leave now. And I asked for the money. and Paul said, don't do that. Don't get us in no trouble now. I threatened to kick his ass, and Paul tried to join him. But we're dear friends, and this is all in fun. Next, just don't tell them about no Robinson. Next time, Paul was with me once when I first fucked my first faggot. And he's been holding that over my head for 2 years. I fucked a faggot. I just want to say it now so nobody else can tell. I liked it. I would have married him, but he had to go away and get an operation. I'd like to move now, Paul, if you don't mind. to move.
So there you go. I think that kind of speaks for itself. But, you know, stuff existed back then, and he was joking around about it sounds like messing with a transsexual, right? So this stuff's been around for a long time, and I believe that a lot of this boils up from these secret societies that run all of the, you know, tops of the tops out there in the Hollywood industry and just the entertainment industry in general all around the world. And there's a lot of, you can read about this, but there's a lot of people who've been in Freemasonry or whatnot, and they've written about, in some lodges, okay, that there's a gay element to it, an element where they fool around with each other. And you can even look at the Bohemian Grove, and there's still pictures of Kissinger and some of the other guys that go there dressed up like women you can find online. So you can see where this stuff kind of is connected with a lot of these, you know, celebrity elite, if you will. South Korean restaurants refused to stop selling dog meat during the Olympic Games. Nearly all restaurants which serve dog meat in Pyeongchang, where the opening ceremony is being held today, have ignored a government order to stop serving the controversial food during the games. Only 2 out of a total of 12 dog meat restaurants have complied with the order, offering subsidies in exchange for stopping the practice. Pyeongchang County government official Lee Yong-bae told the media that restaurants complained the ban was threatening their livelihood. Some of them initially shifted to selling pork or things instead of dog meat, only to find their sales plunging sharply. Wow. They then switched back to dog meat. So I guess dog meat's quite the delicacy out there. I just can't imagine Difference of cultures again, right? It's just the difference of cultures, but wowzers, wowzers. So there's a trend. I'll probably put a video about this up here soon. There's a trend I'm seeing in media over the last month, and a lot of it has to do with tsunamis. There's some stories I'll show you about beheadings and people getting their heads chopped off and stuff. Also, a lot of stories about nukes and nuclear attacks. And I've seen this, in multiple. A lot of them I don't share because there's really not much to talk about. I'll find them in articles that otherwise would seem fairly innocuous, but it's just the way I see stuff. Anyway, this was interesting. Massive black-clad missile filmed near Area 51 on truck sparks nuclear attack fears. So this is another one of those videos. We'll watch just a little bit.
Is this a nuclear missile?
Well, whatever it is, it's huge. So I'm not sure. But anyway, this was in Area 51. So the shocking footage entitled Nuclear Warhead Hauled to Area 51 Spooky was uploaded by a YouTube user. He said in a promotional blurb, we were cruising around on some back roads near Sorefinger Road, and I caught a video of a nuclear missile being hauled in the direction of Area 51. Notice the huge police escort. It certainly seemed like they were purposely were avoiding major highways. I also noticed the police did not seem happy that I was making this video. God help us all if this thing ever gets launched. So there you have it. Interesting, right? At an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council in December, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, warned that if war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed. Last month, Malcolm Nuance, a former U.S. intelligence officer, said Mr. Trump could wipe out the rogue state with a nuke in as little as 35 minutes. He says that's about the time it takes a Minuteman III ICBM to travel from the Great Plains to Pyongyang. Things that make you go, I think I got a couple stories connected to this here. Let's see. I do. Okay, so we'll start with this. So you've probably heard about this recent SpaceX launch from Elon Musk. He's calling it the Starman. He's got a Tesla Roadster, like an actual car up there floating around. And conspiracy theorists see a UFO spotted in the background of footage from Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket launch could be an alien craft. The black dot barely visible behind the film's red Tesla and its passenger spaceman is one of a number of strange objects being discussed online. This particular entity can be seen as it hurtles across the Earth, seemingly at high speed. Anyway, there it is right there. See it? So I want to show you that, but more importantly, I want to go back to the story here. Okay, so here we go. This one's really upsetting a lot of the flat Earth people, a lot of the flat Earthers. SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket launch was faked by Elon Musk, insist Flat Earth Society conspiracy theorists. So here we go, right? That's the thing. There's so much baggage with that theory too, because if you believe that, there's so much more you have to answer for. all the people who worked in the space programs. So they're all a part of it, I guess. And then footage like this that you're about to see, it's all fake. So everything's fake. All these people are in on it. And I don't even like going down that. Most of you know I'm not into that. And no offense if you're into it, it's just not my thing. I find it very much a psyop. That's my belief. But let's see if this here plays. Oh, there we go. There's some of the footage. I'm going to show you some things in this footage too, though. But see, there you go. You see the background, right? It's supposed to be the Earth. And I'll show you this right here. This I thought was interesting. So they got this right here in the console, right in the middle. Don't panic. But what's interesting to me is why is there a it looks like some kind of a reptile. Why is there looks like a reptile right here, and in its mouth it says don't panic? I mean, obviously, right? Here's the eyes. The eyes. Green, looks scaly type skin, or some kind of like lined type skin with its huge mouth open, and out of its mouth it says don't panic. So also Starman, we see this Starman motif play out in a lot of things throughout culture, specifically over the last few years. And I think that's a reference to, Satan falling like lightning. And we've seen that reenacted. Lady Gaga did it at, I believe it was one of the Super Bowl halftime shows a few years ago. And Katy Perry's enacted this as well, coming down on a flaming star during one of her performances, probably a Super Bowl. So we see that reenacted a lot. So the Starman, the Star Savior, the man from the stars. There's even a movie from John Carpenter called Starman. I saw as a little kid. At the time, it was great. Still a good movie. I like John Carpenter, but now that I look at it, I kind of see a lot more meaning in it. It's a guy that comes down like an orb, right? We talk about the orbs on here a lot too, the orb UFOs, which are shape-shifting energy. So he comes down as an orb, turns into... He basically takes on a host body, creates a body of a woman's deceased husband, and the adventure begins. It was interesting, but again, about the Starman coming down, the connection with the orbs, and what I believe are satanic energy, demonic interdimensionals, disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, however you want to put it. So yeah, that's interesting. So we have Starman again. We've got the reptilian or the reptile right here with the mouth, don't panic inside. Just something I'd share. And then let's see, there's more of the footage, right? So again, this is the stuff that's really apparently upsetting the Flat Earth people. So we'll go ahead and read the article here a little bit. Flat Earth Society has sensationally claimed that those who do not question the authenticity of the billionaire business magnate's latest SpaceX launch are giving in to blind belief. Mr. Musk's Falcon Heavy mission has been heralded as a new era of space exploration after its enormous engines successfully blasted off out of the atmosphere on Tuesday. But while the SpaceX CEO stunned the world when the rocket became the largest and most powerful spacecraft to leave the planet upon takeoff, the Flat Earth group unsurprisingly remains skeptical. The group, which prides itself on encouraging the spread of ideas and free thought since 1865, said in a statement, "Why would we believe any privately held company to report the truth?" It added, "People who believe that the Earth is a globe because they saw a car in space on the internet must be the new incarnation of 'it's true, I saw it on TV.' It's a poor argument." The rocket, which was carrying Mr. Musk's cherry red Tesla Sports, was fitted with a camera that allowed Earthlings to watch a live stream of its journey through space. Mr. Musk has not responded to the group's controversial claims, but in the past he publicly mocked them by writing on Twitter, "Why is there no Flat Mars Society?" The conspiracy theorist responded to his social media post. A tweet from the group's account read, "Hi Elon, thanks for the question. Unlike the Earth, Mars has been observed to be round. We hope you have a fantastic day." World-renowned U.S. entrepreneur Mr. Musk has brought forward his ambitious plans to launch rockets that will take humans to Mars following the successful mission this week. So we've talked about some of that before, how they're talking about like a space race between companies and people are wanting to send people into space. And that's going to either put a full-on final nail on the coffin of Flat Earth or it's going to be the biggest revelation that ever happened in the entire world, and one that I never saw coming and still don't believe in, but that's just me. Again, it's just such a divisive topic. I've never seen a topic so divisive. People use this as the end-all truth on everything. If you don't believe in this, then, you know, you're worthless. Nothing else matters. I would think that more towards like Jesus Christ. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? To me, that's what matters most out of everything. But there's people that treat this subject and even other subjects in these kind of you know, areas we go into as the end all be all truth of everything, and nothing else matters, you know. But anyway, I just want to share that. Let's see what else we got up in here. This is just an observation thing I wanted to show you. So there's a new movie coming out called Venom, and that's it right there. It's been in a Spider-Man movie, one of the old Spider-Man movies. It's this symbiotic fluid or black goo, right? We've talked a lot about, here's the black goo. There's the black goo, and it's turning into venom, right? Symbiotic fluid. And so anyway, he's getting his own movie. Tom Hardy's going to be in it right here. And I just want to show you one of the posters and something that really stood out to me, because I watched the trailer. It's a pretty short trailer, but the last thing he says is something to the effect of everybody has to deal with their demons. And then that's like the end of it. So, and I've always connected the black goo with like a, you know, something in the realm of possession. You know, people get possessed by this black goo. It could be possessed by this black goo, and others do great work on it being a living, you know, being. And that doesn't mean that it's not from an evil place, you know. But that's kind of the same idea we see with Venom. It's a symbiotic black goo from space that when it gets inside a host body, it takes over and then turns them into this kind of demon or a space demon. And that's what I'm going to show you here. So here's one of the movie posters right here. And these are supposed to be the eyes. But those aren't eyes. I'm going to show you, and I've shown you all this for years now. But, you know, because I believe that a lot of these so-called aliens are actually demons, or interdimensional demons, demonic spirits. And a lot of what they call the gray aliens, I think, along the same lines. You know, if not, it's some kind of a weird fleshy type suit that they've created to allow the Nephilim, or even the demons, if you will, to walk around and move around, or it's actually just a representation of one of them itself, kind of in that type of flesh. And I've shown that in a lot of different videos I've done. So keeping all that in mind, look beyond the eyes, look in the middle at what the black is right here, because there's an image right there. All right, that's the outline. So look at the black, and what do you see? That's why they put these little divots right here. Those are actually eyes. So those are the eyes, and then here's the gray alien. You see it? And it almost looks down here as they put in mandibles or something right here. So I almost thought, what if that's a representation of the locust from the pit, which are going to be creatures that can sting men, right? So perhaps that's what that is, but that's definitely an image, perhaps a bit of both, you know, one of the insects and one of the gray aliens. But I thought that was interesting. I'd share it with you. They do that stuff a lot. I'll try to show you another one here. A lot of you probably never seen. Oops. Marlboro cigarettes pack. Oh, there's one right there. If it shows up, there we go. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a good example. So here's Marlboro. This is the same idea as what I just showed you on that Venom poster. They'll hide images like that, you know, in the middle of the actual of one of the images they're putting up. So look right here at these horses on the side. And look between these horses' legs, and you'll see this white space. But if you look closely at the white space, those are white hooded figures. Okay, you can look into this R.J. Reynolds and the connection with KKK and all that stuff with Marlboro cigarettes. But there's white hooded people underneath the horse's legs. You can see the outline. Just let your eyes rest on it and see it. And their arms are here because they're holding a banner. And that banner is Veni Vidi Vici, which I believe is we came, we saw, we conquered. So it's interesting you'd have Klansmen. There's obvious connections you can find with R.J. Reynolds and KKK on their box in a subliminal message. 2 Klansmen with their arms out holding the banner, "We came, we saw, we conquered." And of course, you can do the pyramid right here in the eye thing if you want to as well. But that's just one I want to show you how they kind of hide these things a lot of the time. Speaking of tsunamis, another one, false tsunami warning sent over phone spook Americans. So we had the 2 false nuclear alerts. Now we have a false tsunami alert, but it's all just a coincidence, right? We got people who've been having dreams and visions for the last several years now about New York being flooded. New York being flooded's on the money. We've seen people decode that. Dreams and visions from multiple people. You can look it up, of nuclear war in America. Hoover Dam exploding as well, right? Being symbolic of the birthing of the time of the Antichrist. Same with the St. John's pillars. I've shown you guys that before too. That show everything. They show New York being flooded, a demonic baby coming out of a woman's parts, if you will, all kinds of stuff. So, you know, that will be the next 9/11. There'll be another event, probably multiple events, and that'll lead us into a world war. And around this time is when the real man of sin or man of perdition is going to be revealed, right? So, interesting. So more of this stuff about tsunamis. We got false tsunami warnings. We got false nuke warnings. Makes one wonder. Especially when some of us have been talking about this stuff for years now. Now we're seeing stuff like this, right? Let's just jump somewhere in the middle. Here, I'll do this first. Well, I guess while we're here, I'm not sure if I covered this one last week or not. This goes a couple days past this week, but don't put ground wasp nest on your vagina to tighten your muscles. I'm talking to you, ladies. I'm shaking my hand. Now, don't go putting ground wasp nest on your vagina anymore, all right? It ain't no good. I know you're trying to tighten up your muscles. I didn't know this was a thing. But an all-natural treatment for women looking to rejuvenate and tighten their vagina is giving doctors serious cause for concern. Ground up wasp nests. That's right. Some women are actually using oak galls, tree deformities caused by wasp nests, as an at-home remedy for vaginal rejuvenation. So there you go. There you go. If you're looking to rejuvenate your vagina, then that might be the way to go. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, this one is connected to another one too.
I'd speculate it's a new advanced defense technology. My daughter described it later as a super long black rocket.
Oh, shoot.
We both agreed a several-mile-long rocket would be impossible.
My bad. Sorry. That happens sometimes. Okay, so I think this is connected to something else. Yeah, here it is. So I'll show you this one first. I was really surprised by this, but you know, just, I mean, if you don't think elements of society are crumbling, I mean, you got to take a look at this. And this is when people are happy. This is when they're celebrating. This is what they do after they celebrate. These are the Eagles fans destroying the city. And this is a compilation of all that. So were they celebrating? I don't even know who won. I mean, that's how little I pay attention. Did the Eagles win? I don't know. Either way, if they didn't win, they did win, whatever. There's certainly no excuse to burn down your city and flip cars over. So check this out. This is what happens. The Eagles fans destroying the city after the Super Bowl. I think they were celebrating. I'm pretty sure they won. That was halftime. The Eagles were ahead at halftime, so yeah, I guess this is a celebration. This is people celebrating. Can you imagine what people are going to do after like a nuclear attack here in America? And people are going hungry after a while and they can't buy, sell, or trade. Just throwing that out there. I don't want to be here. I'm not planning on it. We'll see. This is them celebrating. It's a celebration. See that? That's my point, though. I mean, can you imagine when things go really bad, dollar crash, when they really start trying to implement the mark of the beast, as we call it, you know, this system, and you can't buy, sell, or trade, you have access to your money. And this is like a global event. But just think about it. You know, they've been training for this. Our military has been training for this kind of stuff for a really long time. Remember all the stories? You don't see them as much anymore, but all the stories over the last few years, like why is the U.S. Post Office buying, 5 billion rounds of hollow points? I mean, stuff like this. Like this is just one story, but they've been preparing for something like this for a long time now, all under the Obama administration, especially. I mean, they were bringing things back from war, weapons and trucks and tanks and whatever from war they were using, and giving into our police force throughout America over the last several years too. So they've all been quietly getting ready for something. That's the way I see it. But there's another one here I'll show you. It's right next door. And this is it here. Eagles fan again. Central Philadelphia after Super Bowl. Yeah, so this is after the win. So they won, and they get so excited. You may not, this may be too much for you. Just kind of turn away. But if not, that's literally a horse doo-doo on the ground, and just here you go. A celebration. That's same idea. You see that? That's why you have all these dum-dums having to go to the hospital after eating Tide Pods and doing stupid stuff like that. You know what I mean? Same mentality. Some people are just losing their minds out there, All right, so let's turn the mic back around. Let's move on. Once again, thanks for being here, guys. 36 minutes in. Already covered quite a bit. Still have a lot to go. So thanks again for being here. Let's just keep moving on, all right? All right. All right, so kind of what I was talking about just now about Mark of the Beast and stuff like this, and also connecting with all the robots. I think I've got some robot stories here. Excuse me. I think I have some robot stories to share with you as well. But again, they're doing this. I've been saying it for a few years now that it's the post-human existence they're preparing for. They're preparing for less humanity, and also to have everything basically running itself and giving us a basic income. A lot of people probably think that's a great idea. This is a totally socialism 101 type stuff right here. But it's going to cause the populace to become more lazy. It also puts you on an even scale, so there's really no point in trying to achieve anything higher than the average. And if you're sitting around getting an income, you don't really have to worry about much. Just kind of you can scoot by, but you'll be okay. Well, eventually you can see a lot of people buying into that. They're going to love it. The problem is they'll be a lot more easy to control in a situation like that. So that's another big issue with this basic income. All right, so let's just move on. What else we got? Another one, man, bisphenol A. some of us have been talking about this for a long time, about bisphenol A and all the issues that can be found there. Specifically, as it says, gender-bending chemicals, bisphenol A. Specifically, I think it's a big factor, not in all, but in, I think, many of these cases of the youth being gender confused. I mean, we're seeing this. We're seeing a lot of this. There's some stories I got for you here shortly, but bisphenol A is found in plastic containers, water bottles, and in till receipts. The chemical used since the 1960s mimics the female sex hormone estrogen, but we want this in our plastic bottles. Study by University of Exeter tested urine samples from 94 teenagers. Almost 90% of the teenagers have gender-bending chemicals from plastic in their bodies, according to a study. Welcome to the beast system, a system that is meant to steal, kill, and destroy every one of us. And this is an example. The chemical used since the 1960s to make certain types of plastics mimics the female sex hormone estrogen and has been linked to low sperm counts and infertility in men. Surprise! As well as breast and prostate cancer. So, there you have it. Not cool. And right next door we find this. Not just boy and girl, more teens identify as transgender. I wonder if there's a connection. I mean, don't get me wrong, all the entertainment mind controls played in with this stuff as well. But in this December 4th, 2014 file photo, this is a current story, by the way, just letting you know. But in this December 4th, 2014 file photo, Elliot Knerth, 17, a transgender male high school student in Mankato, hugs his girlfriend, Kelsey Petite, 17, after the Minnesota State High School League Board voted to pass the Model Gender Identity Participation. Chicago, far more U.S. teens than previously thought are transgender or identify themselves using other non-traditional gender terms, with many rejecting the idea that girl and boy are the only options, new research suggests. The study looked at students in 9th and 11th grade, 9/11, and estimated that nearly 3% are transgender or gender nonconforming, meaning that they don't always self-identify as the sex they were assigned at birth. That includes kids who refer to themselves using neutral pronouns like them instead of he or she. Anyway, I don't want to read the whole thing, but you get the gist. I wonder if there's a connection. This is a weird story. Accused serial killer's methods eerily match a Stephen King story. In Stephen King's short story, The Lawnmower Man, a sex-crazed landscaper murders and dismembers the suburban homeowner who hires him to cut his overgrown lawn. The tale ends when detectives arrive and end up trying to gather up the victim's remains, which are scattered in a backyard bird bath and throughout the expanse of freshly mown grass. While King's story is a stuff of fiction, a real-life version seems to be playing amid the manicured lawns and neat flower boxes of Canada's largest city, where officials are digging for human remains after the arrest of a landscape contractor last month. Bruce McArthur, 66, was charged in Toronto with the murders of 5 men. Police say they may be dealing with a serial killer and that there may be more victims. McArthur dismembered his victims and hid their remains in planters, police say. He may have also buried them in the lawns he tended for his clients throughout the city and its area, I guess. Police have not publicly outlined any evidence, a modus operandi, or the causes of death, and the entire case remains shrouded under a court-ordered publication ban. He's taken some steps to cover his tracks, and we have to uncover these victims, the lead homicide detective said at a news conference. Police have identified more than 30 properties where McArthur worked in and around the city of 3 million people and are conducting an extensive investigation at one residence where McArthur used a garage to store tools and flower pots. Police have already found skeletal remains of 3 people in the backyard planters, but they have yet to identify them. Creepy, huh? Weird. I just thought I'd throw this one in. They're saying Jesus was rough and scruffy and wore basic tunics rather than elaborate robes, claims expert. Popular culture says Jesus had long hair, a beard, and wore elaborate robes. And you know you can't trust that image, right? Of what Jesus, what they tell us Jesus looks like. You can look it up in the Bible, but he's described as more of kind of an average type person. You can look this up for yourself. But anyway, and that would make sense. I mean, it's all about humility. He wasn't about vanity. Basic tunics. Well, of course he wore basic tunics. He's not going to be walking around wearing Nikes, right? Come on. Popular culture said that. He wore a basic tunic normally reserved for undergarments or children's wear, or they could be doing this to poke a stick at him too. You never know with some of these articles, but it's interesting, I think. Despite having lived 2 millennia ago, what Jesus looked like is a question that still fascinates people. Jesus' physical appearance is still up for debate, with academics and theologians arguing over everything from his skin tone to style of facial hair. New research claims to have narrowed down his choice of clothing, however, which would have been shameful and unkept by the standards of the day. Joan Taylor, professor of Christian origins and Second Temple Judaism from King's College, explains about the entire appearance of the Christian martyr in an article. Cool. Over the past few decades, the question of what Jesus looked like has cropped up again and again. Much has been made of a digital reconstruction of a Judean man created for a BBC documentary, Son of God, in 2001. This was based on an ancient skull and, using the latest technology at the time, shows the head of a stocky fellow with a somewhat worried expression. Rightly, the skin tone is olive and the hair and beard black and shortish, but the nose, lips, neck, eyes, eyelids, eyebrows, fat cover, blah, 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 are all totally conjectural. I think there's a picture of it. There it is. I think. In 2015, retired medical artist Richard Neve had created the face of Jesus by studying Semite skulls using modern-day forensic techniques. His portrait shows Jesus may have had a wide-faced, dark eyes, a bushy beard, and short curly hair, as well as a tanned complexion. So there you go. There you go. Ex-Google and Facebook employees launch a campaign to warn about the addictive dangers of the technologies they helped build. Tristan Harris is heading a new group called the Center for Humane Technology. Former Google executive is concerned over the negative impacts of technology. Among their concerns are addiction to technology and its impact on individuals, particularly children and younger users, as well as society as a whole. The newly launched initiative, which is working with the nonprofit media watchdog group Common Sense Media, is planning to lobby the U.S. government over tech addiction. It's also undertaking an advertising campaign aimed at 55,000 public schools in the U.S. to raise awareness with parents, students, and teachers over its concerns. These include the mental health effects of overuse of social media, including depression, stress, anxiety, self-image, and self-worth, according to the group's website. I mean, I think that's great. Some people think everything's fake, but maybe these guys have a bit of a conscience. Maybe they didn't realize it was going to go as big as it did. Maybe they didn't realize, some of these guys, that it would have such a negative impact on humanity, and maybe now they're trying to right their wrongs. I guess time will tell, but good for them for trying, I think, at this point. You know? It's good. It's good. We need more of that. This was a goofy story. The mainstream really pushed this one a lot. McDonald's French fries might hold a cure for baldness. It's just like, I saw this story everywhere, and it's not even actually the French fries. It's more like the oil, I think, that they cook it with. But anyway, I still have a hard time trusting McDonald's anyway. That's just me. You know, I have a hard time trusting McDonald's and their food. Did you ever see, was it Super Fry Me or something like that? Was it Super Fry Me? I can't remember. Super Size Me? I think it's Super Size Me, the documentary. That changed my life when it comes to the way I viewed McDonald's. Let's see. If you haven't, you can look it up sometime, but this is kind of like the cover of it, but it's a documentary called Super Size Me. So you can check that out sometime and find out some very disturbing information about McDonald's. Grim London website documents capital seedy past. Killers, cannibals, and lost souls haunting the streets. While London is a beautiful and diverse place, it also hides a seriously grim past. Jack the Ripper and the lesser-known Jack the Stripper are two murderers who brutally killed women working in the city before dumping their bodies in dockyards or on the banks of the River Thames. To chronicle the capital's fascinating history, East London-based creative agency Impero has created Grim London, an interactive map. It includes detailed descriptions of the murders, executions, oddities, and hauntings that have swept through the streets from around the 12th century to present day. I thought was crazy is it shows you the map here. Look at that. I mean, this is like, there's a lot of dark stuff apparently that's happened around London. A lot. Each one of those little markers is a different place where there was a serial killer or a cannibal or something really terrible went down. So interesting stuff. Thought it was a strange article, but interesting. Somebody did this. It looks like there's been a lot of dark things happening around the city of London. All right. Moving on. So more of this stuff, more of the transhumanism. Our entire bodies could be replaced or upgraded with robotic parts by 2070 to give us superhuman abilities, claims robotics writer. And I don't know if they mean to, or maybe they do, but a lot of this stuff to me is disinfo in the way that it's like they're giving you some kind of hope that we're going to reach 2070. I mean, I'm not trying to be a sourpuss here. I mean, we'll see. You know, I live my life day by day. I don't try to predict events that are going to happen or anything. You guys understand if you follow me, you know what I do, but I don't sit there and try to predict an event like on this day we're going to have, you know, or whatever it is. I'm just not into that. But I do feel at the very core of my being that we're close. You know, I know we're in the season of the end times. I know we're close to some events. It feels very close. So I just take it day by day, you know, but that feeling alone makes me think, really, 2070? Will there be anything left? Or will it be like the new 1,000-year reign, though? I always wonder. Time's a different thing anyway altogether. I mean, once this world ends, time, I think, is just going to be meaningless anyway, you know, in the afterlife, right? Anyway, just throwing that out there. I think they have the technology for all this and more already. That's what it is. I don't think we got to wait that long for that kind of stuff. Speaking of which, back to the robots. Robot makes coffee at new cafe in Japan's capital. And the world cheers. They're doing this. They're taking our jobs. Some of y'all used to be worried about the Mexicans. It's the robots. So this is a connected story. Here it is. I'll do this one first, if it'll let me. This is an older story I was going to show you. Here we go. Let's do this first. So here's the news story. Crazy. Builder impelled by a 2-foot-long rusty steel bar that went up his bum and exited through his chest. And this is a Chinese worker. Prepare yourself for this. Okay, I mean, some of you, this may be kind of shocking for you. But anyway, here you go. So a Chinese construction worker is lucky to be alive after he was impelled by a 2-foot-long rusty steel bar. Boom. Whoomp. There it is, right? So harrowing. Whoomp. There it is. I mean, that has got to be just the worst. Harrowing images show the pole there. And here's the x-ray. I mean, wow. Wow. The 64-year-old was skewered by the spike after falling onto it from around 6 foot up. His coworkers said he lost his footing while working on a platform and landed on the protruding rebar, which are used to reinforce concrete. The man was rushed into emergency surgery at the First People's Hospital. His doctor said around 24 inches of the reinforced steel bar, 3/4 of its total length, shot into the man's body via one of his buttocks. Wow, there it is. Crazy, right? Anyway, but that's why I pulled this one up, because there's another Chinese builder, ironically enough, that was impelled by something. Lucky escape. Chinese builder falls from 20-foot high window and impels his head on a steel rod, but he still survived. And this was back in 2014, a few years ago. And there's the picture. You can see it, but there's the end of the rod. There's the other end of the rod. And then there it is right there going straight through his head. Crazy. And he survived. There he is after surgery. Interesting, huh? But weird that they both builders in China and they're getting impelled with these things. I thought it was interesting. Made me think about that. I'm not going to go much into this one. It just reminded me of something random. Cruel and depraved. Dad cries in court as he hugs daughter who was cut from her mum by a womb raider. W-O-M-B, womb raider. His killer is jailed. Savannah Graywind, who was 8 months pregnant when she went missing, was found wrapped in plastic and dumped in the Red River near North Dakota last month. The 22-year-old had disappeared on August 19th after heading off to visit her next-door neighbor for a dress fitting. Cass County District Court, North Dakota, heard that she fell and hit her head after an altercation with crews, rendering her unconscious. So I guess she got in a fight with the girl she was going to visit, a neighbor. It was in that the sick crews carried out amateur surgery on Savannah and snatched her unborn child from her womb. According to prosecution, she told her defense lawyer, I did cut her, and then I took her baby out of her. Anyway. But there's the baby. The baby made it. That's the good news. Anyway, it reminded me, I go all over the place. Y'all know this with thoughts and stuff sometimes. But so welcome to the show. But it reminded me of one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen in my life. It was a French film. It's called Inside, I-N-S-I-D-E. The French term was like La Entrée or something like that. But you can look it up. French horror film, Inside, I-N-S-I-D-E, from like over 10 years ago. It's a pretty old movie. But the whole movie was a very basic idea. It was about a girl that was like 9 months pregnant, ready to pop any day. She's home alone one night, and this older woman shows up to her house. And don't fool yourself. This woman was like, she was not older like elderly, just a few years older than the girl that was pregnant. But she was, a tough woman, she was healthy. But this woman shows up to that lady's house to take her baby. And it is one of the bloodiest, craziest, most insane films I've ever seen in my life. So I'm not telling you to watch it. Many of you know I went to film school and I went to LA and Hollywood to be a science fiction and horror writer. So I used to write a lot of this stuff. I used to look into it too, but just random thought, really scary movie. And it reminded me of that. That's all, that story. Rare footage shows Sheffield Imam perform Islamic exorcism on burqa-wearing woman. Here we watch some of this. It's weird.
شغل اخواني can you fight Allah, can you fight God, can you fight God, can you fight him. يعلمون الناس السحر سحر 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 يعلمون الناس السحر يعلمون الناس السحر سحر سحر.
It feels like something I'm not supposed to be watching. I don't know. It's weird. And don't take that the wrong way, because for all I know, this is some made-up stuff too. But it's just weird, isn't it? Like watching a David Lynch short film or something. Okay, I've had about enough of that screaming. But anyway, when I first saw the video, it was just like, it gave me just such a weird feeling. Like, wow, like I don't know if I should be watching this, not because I'm afraid I'm going to get possessed or something. You know, I want to talk about some of that in a little while too, about people who say they're Christians, you know, but they're really scared all the time. They're terrified of, you know, scary films or scary things, you know, and oftentimes to expose these things, I watch this stuff, but we'll get into that later. But anyway, I just had a weird feeling. It's like either this is a really like an SNL skit on acid, or it's a real thing and we're seeing someone flip out, and who knows. But and it's coming from the Muslim perspective, which is interesting as well. So just thought I'd throw it out there. 2 sisters charged with torturing girl 5 and boy 8 in alleged voodoo rituals in East Bridgewater. When you mess with voodoo and you mess with Satanism and you play with when you dance with the devil, you're going to get a lot of dirt on your shoes. The Randolph hairstylist said her 2 young children, a 5-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy, have been behaving badly due to evil spirits. So last month, she took them to 2 sisters who she claimed could cast out the demons. During a 5-day period in an East Bridgewater apartment, according to the police, one of the sisters threatened to cut off the boy's head. They allegedly blew fire into the girl's face, burning her and inflicting permanent disfigurement. And on 2 occasions, the sisters and the girl's mother held her down and used a sharp object resembling a needle to cut her arm and collarbone area. Police charged the women with abusing the children, but the sisters said they were practicing their religion, Haitian voodoo. The case has caught the attention of Haitian voodoo practitioners and academics who say that voodoo, rooted in the African, whatever that word is, diaspora, sometimes spelled as voodoo, does not condone violence. All right. Edens told one of the officers that her daughter woke up a few days earlier with the burn marks on her face, but she later told another officer that the burn was caused by a demon leaving the girl's body. Her children had been misbehaving due to evil spirits, quote unquote, so she and they say prayers and use water and oils to make the demon leave. Or you could try casting it out in Christ's name. You don't need to do all this stuff. You know, I need a half a cup of Mountain Dew, you know, a bat's wing, a lucky rabbit's foot. You know, you don't need all this stupid stuff. You can cast these things out in Christ's name. And if you're Holy Spirit filled, if you've accepted Christ, you have that power too. Did you know that? 9 manifestations of the Holy Spirit. Magic mushrooms can cure people of fascist ideas. Actually, they might, according to a new study. The researchers gave 2 oral doses of psilocybin, which is the magic in magic mushrooms, to patients suffering from treatment-resistant depressions. They were also surveyed about their political views and how they felt about nature. The researchers found that people who had taken the drug had a drop in authoritarian attitudes and felt more related to nature. One patient said, "Before I enjoyed nature, now I feel part of it. Before I was looking at it as a thing, like TV or a painting, but now I see there's no separation or distinction. You are it." The researchers write, "Our findings tentatively raise the possibility that given in this way, psilocybin may produce sustained changes in outlook and political perspective, here in the direction of increased nature relatedness and decreased authoritarianism." Interesting, huh? What we got here? Freaking Darwin alert. Darwin Awards. UK man suffers brain hemorrhage after drinking 25 energy drinks. Jiminy Christmas. This is your brain on too many energy drinks and it can be deadly. Nick Mitchell, a divorced dad with 3 grown kids who gulped 25 energy drinks in 6 hours, suffered a brain hemorrhage and a series of mini strokes from the caffeine overdose. Survived 23 Red Bulls and 2 Monster energy drinks that he had downed in succession during a karaoke event. Wow. 8 years later, Mitchell, a 56-year-old mechanic, still struggles to remember and pronounce some words. Now he's campaigning to ban the drinks. There he is. Well, that's good. He's trying to, take something bad and turn it around to something positive, They're telling you right on the can, this is poison, people. Some of you already know the signs and symbols here, right? This is a classic. Somebody found this before I made the scariest movie ever made 10 years ago, and I put it as a clip in my movie back then. So this stuff's been around forever, but that's the Va. It's a Hebrew letter. It's the 6 letters, and there's 3 on all, right? So 666. You got the crucifix and the O. So every time you take a drink, you turn the cross upside down and unleash the beast, right? Here we go, guys. Back to tsunamis, back to Russia, back to nukes. Russia building doomsday torpedo with biggest nuke ever to swamp cities with 500-foot tsunami. Is it a real story that's coming? Probably. What's the point in putting it out now? Most likely some form of predictive programming or social engineering. So we can blame Russia when all this happens, perhaps. Yeah. Whoever pulls the next event off will be the same people that pulled the first 9/11 off. Sure, yes, Zionists, Illuminati, elements of the Vatican, all the different secret societies. I mean, sure, they're all in it together. Or this would be a nice setup to start dropping stories like this for when it comes, blame Russia and then go to war, right? I told you there's a lot of stories like this popping up lately. And symbolism. Snoop Dogg releasing his first video for a gospel album. Good grief. This guy. I just don't buy it. He told us that he sold his soul to the devil. He told everything. Murder was the case they gave me. Is that the name of the song? I'm not even going to try to rap it, but murder was the case or something. And it's an old song, but it's back when he got launched after that. You can go back and watch the video and literally shows the devil coming up to him and him making a deal with the devil. So that being said, I believe anybody can be saved from Christ or through Christ, even if you've done something like that and you finally regret it. If you made a deal and you sold yourself out, if you genuinely in your heart turn from those ways and genuinely turn to Jesus, you'll be forgiven. You'll be accepted. I believe that. I just don't know how much of that you can put onto this story exactly. I don't know if he even really cares about being saved. But they ran this on CBN News too. I thought that was interesting. Christian Broadcast News. So I don't know. Just putting it out there.
But a lot of the rumors have some basis in trustworthy sources.
Selfie pay, more of the beast system, more of the grid being built right before our very eyes. There's going to be a lot of Christians in the wilderness. There's going to be a lot of people who are on the fence in the wilderness. When everything bad goes down, whenever that may be. And again, please don't live in fear of these things. You live it day by day. Know that God's got our back. Pray that you're found worthy to escape these things. It's a harpazo, I believe, right? But the catching away. But pray that you can be taken away during these things. Some people listening don't even believe all this stuff and think you're just listening to a kook. And I get that. But I firmly believe that there's coming a time soon that all the stuff we're talking about, a lot of the stuff these other channels do and talk about and everything else that doesn't make sense to a lot of people in the world, it's going to be your last refuge for a lot of people, I believe, when everything goes crazy. If you're still able to even access the internet, who knows, at that point. But a lot of people are going to wake up after the next event and after the Antichrist takes main stage, right? It'll be happening. But when that happens, how are they going to control the people they have? How are they going to control you with the mark? And how are they going to come try to find those who are hiding out in the mountains, the Christians in the wilderness, right? Mystery sea creature, I love my monster stories. With no eyes and a leg, washes up on shore. No one knows what it is. There he is. Weird looking, huh? So many of these things. This happens quite a bit. These random, weird monsters washing up on shores all around the world. There's some. I think I already showed you this one. I showed you this on one of my last shows. This was pretty good, though. I'll see if you can. Look at that. If you watch the original one, it actually shows them standing around getting some gear together or something. They turn, at least this is in the background, and they run over to the water's edge to film the rest of it, whatever it is. Weird, huh? Crazy. Anyway, there's that. Monsters. Wow, the whole disappearance of MH370. Now they got the ship searching for it. It was still missing. I think it popped back up 3 days. Right, the vessel appeared back on radars 3 days after its disappearance. So ship searching for still missing flight disappears. Nearly 4 years after flight MH370's abrupt disappearance, there are still minimal clues as to what happened to the aircraft and all its passengers. Casey, my friend from Into the Stars, has done some videos on that, connecting it to Lost, the TV series, which is some really interesting stuff. So you might check that out. But so there's still minimal clues as to what happened to the aircraft and all its passengers. In an unsettling development, The Guardian reports a ship searching for the plane also disappeared, though it reappeared on Australian radar 3 full days later. So I don't know what that is. Interesting. Oops. Here's another one. These cigar UFOs, I've put them in some videos. I've talked about them in the past. I've shown you some stories here on some other what's happening about these, but now they're just right out there. This one's over Washington being filmed, and it's one of the best captures I've ever seen. I guess I could do a bigger video on it. It takes a lot to explain this stuff, but these cigar-shaped UFOs, again, there's so many. There's other news stories out there you can watch where there was one of the best pictures I'd ever seen. It was during a flight, and the pilots and half the people in the that were still awake on the plane saw this thing pull up right next to them and fly next to them. And it was one of these long cigar-shaped UFOs, and people were getting pictures of it, even though they were terrified. And that was one of the best I'd seen. I've shown some others. These things also go into volcanoes. I showed you a video of that just a few weeks ago. But anyway, they're making their appearance more pronounced, I guess you could say. Let's check this one out.
The witness states, I'd speculate it's a new advanced defense technology. My daughter described it later as a phone case file 90,002.
It's a freaking UFO, dude. I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God, what is that? Look at it, dude.
I know.
You see that?
Is it like a shadow or something?
No, I have no idea. It's like a giant ship.
My goodness.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Really?
Oh
Oh my goodness.
There you go. I mean, even the footage, when you watch it again and again, I mean, you can see the outline of it, and it's really long, and it's got to be enormous and really far. I mean, because it's so far away and it's so high up in the sky, to see that much of it, that means this thing is just massive, whatever it is. So here we go, right? Here we go. Let's try something else. What's this? This is connected to this one. Somebody noticed that a part of the opening Olympic ceremony for the Olympics that started this week looked phallic, and it reminded me of something else. So I'll show you here in a second. But look at that. It's like the flaming wiener going into the the lady part. The flaming wiener is the flaming wiener going into the lady part, it looks like. And I know I'm joking around a little bit about this, about the flaming wiener. Flaming wieners are funny, but there's a lot more going on there. I thought that was interesting, though. So there's that, but I've covered this in a lot of other videos. Many other have as well. But all these things, these ceremonies are you can say Illuminati public rituals, but really they're all rituals connected to all these people behind the scenes in the beast system. I'm choosing the beast system more lately over calling things Illuminati. But that's what it is. The Illuminati, the different secret societies have been building this system for years, and it's really manifesting more and more. But they do a lot of these public rituals right out in front of the public during all these ceremonies. This was one here somebody did. You can check this out. The Open Scroll blog spot. They do some really good work here. And this is a long article, so I'm not going to read it, but you can check this out for yourself. It goes through the history, connecting a lot of this to the birth canal, a lot of the ancient penis worship, phallic worship, things like that as well. Mother goddess worship, all of it. Got a bit of all of it there. So some pictures they got right there. The goddess and the opening of the birth canal. Look at that. That's the stadium. What does that look like to you? And so they made the whole stadium into a lady part. Sad story, twisted story. Teen who filmed dying sister after killing her in drink driving crash is jailed. Abuela Sanchez continued to film on Instagram as her 14-year-old sister Jacqueline lay dying after being thrown from the car in Los Banos, California. The 19-year-old was sentenced yesterday after being convicted of gross vehicular manslaughter, DUI, and child endangerment stemming from the crash. The car driven by Sanchez veered onto the shoulder of a road in Los Banos, about 100 miles south of San Fran. Authorities say she overcorrected, causing the vehicle to swerve and overturn, ejecting and killing her 14-year-old sister. Here's the worst part, though. The Instagram video shows Abuela Sanchez lean over a man's rectum fell out when he spent too long playing on his phone on the toilet. Like that story we saw earlier about the social media guys pulling together and trying to inform the public about the danger of this kind of thing. And here, yeah, this story right here. The young man, whose name has not been revealed, told doctors he'd been using his mobile while on the toilet for over half an hour while trying to go number 2. When they went to check him out, they found a massive lump measuring 16 centimeters long sticking out of his anus. Another one in China. There's a lot of like butt stuff happening out in China this week. But yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Crazy stuff, man. World without women moves closer as human eggs are grown in lab for the first time. Replacing creation from our Heavenly Father. This is another part of that beast system. Just throwing this one out there. Maxi dresses, cardigans, and hijabs. Essentials in Macy's new fashion line aimed at Muslim women. So Macy's. And this is a signal about the culture coming anyway. You know, they're shutting down their borders everywhere. I know you're saying Trump wall. Well, wait till you, let's see if that happens. But there's that. It's the mixing of all the cultures into one. That one world system. Oh, let's see. I think we're at around the last story. I'll show you this one real quick, though. Here's one I just want to share. This goes back to the Christians I see write me, and they're just terrified. You know, oh my gosh, KG, I can't believe you talked about this movie. It looks so... I can't watch that. You shouldn't either. You know, and things like this. And that's just one example. I get a lot of this stuff where Christians write to me. They sound like they are just shaking in their little boots, and they are hiding, and they're just quaking because there's so much evil out there. Well, this is Luke 10:9, 10:19. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and get this, to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Even Psalm 91:13, you will tread upon the lion and cobra, the young lion and the serpent, you will trample down. Take your power back, man. Don't look at this, don't just say, I believe in Jesus and I'm a Christian. I go to church. Live this. Live it. It's real spiritual warfare we're in right now. Manifests in all kinds of ways. I cover a lot of this. A lot of you see it in your own lives. But stop being so scared. Stop being so afraid all the time. We have power through Jesus. You accept Jesus. You get that connection to the Holy Father. You get Holy Spirit filled. Read the Bible for yourself or go to church if you choose. But live this and understand what I'm showing you here. Don't be so scared. Don't be so scared because we've been given authority to trample on snakes and scorpions. And get this. You with me? To overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Get tough. So here's one I'm saving for the end. And, before, this is the Omarosa thing. So Omarosa, she just left the White House, was kicked out of the White House or whatever recently, but she goes back over the last 10 years, she's known Trump, been friends with Trump. She was on The Apprentice 3 times. So they're buddies, and he took her with him to the White House, and she was right there with him for the first year. And I can't play this because they got music in the background of this thing. I can't play it. But, man, someone's blowing me up. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, someone's writing to me and saying that this isn't being screen shared. Guys, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen right now? Or I've got somebody texting me saying that you can't see my screen. Guys, I'm talking to you here in the chat. Hopefully you guys can say something. Somebody's texting me saying that you can't see my screen. Is that true? Anybody? Anybody? Just checking on the chat here. Can you guys see my screen okay? I've got Kay Smallwood texting me saying nobody sees my screen. So I'm checking you guys out here in chat, just trying to see if you can hear me. Anybody? I'm checking on chat. Guys, please just write me back. Can you see my screen? Guys, anybody? Oh, no, you can't? Huh. It's a black screen. Oh, well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how that happened. Got no idea. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, that's really weird. Okay, yeah, just for whatever reason, it just stopped. Hold on a second. Let's see here. Sorry about that, man. I have no idea how that happened. Kim, thanks for letting me know. Let me go back here to the chat and talk to you guys for a second. I usually don't do this. We're almost done anyway, but I just wanted to come back and make sure. How long has it been that way? How long could you not see the screen? Hold on a second. I'm trying to, 7 minutes? Okay, thanks. Okay, well, that's not too bad. I don't know why that happened. I guess I'm going to have to keep a better eye on that. Kim, thank you for letting me know. Now you guys should be able to see it. I just flipped it back around, so it should come back here in a little bit. But, okay, good. Just a few minutes, not too bad. Thank you, guys, for letting me know. Let me go and finish the last story here. So Omarosa was friends with Trump, right? She's been on a show. They've known each other like a decade. He took her to the White House. And I'm going to show you something in a second. But just remember that, man, she was one of his biggest cheerleaders for a long time. This is from September 2016, where she was saying every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump. She even said that he's going to be basically the king of the, quote, universe. I mean, she was all about Trump. So recently now we got this. Now this is going to upset some people because, and I know it will, because there's a lot of people that are hardcore on the Trump train. I put a link of this up on my website and I put it on Facebook. And the first message was somebody saying, this lady has no credibility. I can't believe you posted this. And I told the guy, I'm not going to argue with you. Look, and that's the thing. Again, I'm not a part of that false left-right paradigm. People treat that stuff like a religion as well. A lot of people are raised in these, Republican or Democrat or whatever. I was raised like in Republican, right? But people treat it like their religion, and like they can't accept, anything negative about their favorite product because it's basically Coke versus Pepsi, right? This is football. It's just bread and circus type stuff, really, politics and all that. So I knew people would get mad about this because she's got, I think, a kind of a scary message here. Now, again, there's going to be people that just immediately write her off. She's trying to make Trump look bad. I get it, guys. Like I said, I don't like the left. I don't like the liberals. I'm not a fan of all the Democrats who are out there in office right now, as far as the White House and stuff goes. They're all being exposed, and that's fantastic. And I was never a, quote, lefty. I may have a couple of fairly liberal ideas, but mostly I've always been more focused on what the Bible tells me than what politics tell me. That's the thing. I'm more focused on what the Bible tells me as opposed to, ooh, is this a Republican idea or a Democrat idea? I'm not that way. Anyway, we got to look at all things. It's very interesting. And I think this message is, it's interesting. So let's see what she says here. Okay. And now here's the deal. So she's out of the White House. Now she's on Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother. It just started a few days ago. It's on CBS. And a few nights, or like the first night they were in the house, they have a live feed for 3 hours they play. And this showed up on one of the live feeds. So anyway, watch for yourself.
And from the outside, I tell as a voter, a citizen, I never got it. Why you went to the White House with him?
I felt like it was like a call to duty. I felt like I was serving my country, not serving him. Whenever was it accepting a political appointment, it was always about the country. Like, I was haunted by tweets every single day. Like, what is he going to tweet next?
Does anybody say to him, what are you doing?
I tried to be that person, and then all of the people around him attacked me. It was like, keep her away from him. Don't give her access. Don't let her talk to him. And it's like, and vodka's there, Jared's there. And it's...
Who has that power to say what's going on?
No, not there. It's not my circus, not my monkeys. I'd like to say not my problem, but I can't say that because
here it is.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Should we be worried? Don't say that. Because we are worried, but I need you to say, no, it's going to be okay.
Okay, no, it's going to not be okay. It's not.
It's, she says it's not going to be okay. It's not. And again, I get it. Like I don't like the Hollywood elite and all the liberals and all this. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I don't like them, not just because they're politics, but I believe spiritually where a lot of these people are coming from is a bad place. So I understand a lot of people are on the Trump train and immediately just want to write anybody off that says anything bad or maybe negative about him. But there's a lot of us, and I've done some videos on this as well, that are questioning if Trump, he's going to be the president where the event goes down. And this could be the opening for the real Antichrist to show himself. Barack Obama, perhaps, right? Or maybe some spaceship will land and a character comes out that looks like the Jesus they've told us as images all these years. Anyway, you can look down here at the comments and you'll see this isn't going to be a very popular video right here. Like this guy that Unraveling the Matrix, who I like, I'm sub to him, but he says, is that a man or a woman? So he's got the tranny thing going there. Something's wrong with people like this. Oh, I'm Ambrosia. Oh, bad, la, la, la. Do you hear me? She's an actress, entertainer. No one with a right mind watches this crap. She's pandering to her audience. So you're going to get, that'll be the overwhelming response by people that follow Trump. And then it's going to be the people on the left are going to say, oh, look, this buries him. He's a bad guy. I mean, look beyond that though, guys. Bear with me on this. Okay. Think outside the bun and look at this more through spiritual eyes. get away from these party lines and this kind of party thinking. That's my take on that. But so that's the last video anyway I wanted to share with you. Let me jump back over here to the chat and just hang out with you guys for a little bit and say hi. And there we go. Wow, man, that chat just shoots right by. Hey guys, anyway, that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks again, Kim, for texting me, letting me know that something was going on with the screen. I'll have to check that out. I don't know how that happened. But for all of you listening and watching, thanks, man. I appreciate you guys. I want to shout out Silver Botanicals. It's my sponsor. If you want to replace toxic products in your household, go check out silverbotanicals.com. You can use the access code capital KJO 2018, get 10% off. It's a great company, great guys, awesome product. All right. So check them out. All of you that support me on Patreon and also through PayPal occasionally, man, y'all don't know how much that means. I mean, thank you so much, man. It's humbling. It helps me to stay here and keep doing my shows, my videos, and the website. And just God bless you and thank you so much. Anyway, that's it, man, for the night. I guess I'll let y'all go. Have a nice weekend. Have a great week. I'll be back next week with another show. And we'll be back again with, I still see people saying they can't hear anything. Hopefully you can hear me, though. But I'll be back again with some more videos this week as well. So take care, you guys, and I'll talk to you a little later, okay? Bye-bye.